What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can.
Player to look out for. I've already said this. If you guys watched our stream throughout last week, Daijun Edwards is the player to look out for. Now, what makes his situation really interesting is something that I've been harping on pretty much all week when I watched him. I almost put Marshawn Lloyd here, but the reason why I put Daijun Edwards here is Marshawn Lloyd, I think, ended up getting hurt, and I think he's got some injury issues that he's got to figure out. Yes. But Daijun Edwards doing what he did in the SEC, let alone being a backup to Kendall Milton, because that's exactly what it was. 164 carries, 881 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 5.4 yards a carry. It's absolutely ridiculous for sub 200 carries. He's never had over 200 carries in his whole career, which is very interesting. And I harped on the fact that I don't know if he was ever told that, like, if you ball out, you're going to take the reins of the running back room. I don't know. I don't know if that's ever been a conversation that was had, but it was definitely running back out, a running back by committee. I'm willing to say this right now, and this might be a hot take. He might be the best running back that comes out of this class.
Ooh.
When we look at the future of the NFL, because of how much tread he
actually,
it's not
because of how much tread he has on the tires.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't used a lot.
No.
Now, I said this to you guys. Kenneth Gainwell was different because he played in Memphis and he's a smaller back.
Yeah.
Daijun Edwards is different because he played in the SEC and he's a bona fide. He could be a bona fide starter. I don't know if Daijun Edwards ever in his career has got the chance to prove that he could be the number one guy. I would love to see Daijun Edwards, if he would have stayed and transferred to a team like Arizona, to a team like Notre Dame, to a team like Florida State.
Well, it was also different to go back on the Kenneth Gainwell thing. It was also different for him because, yes, he played in Memphis. He was a smaller back. He also elected to not play the COVID year and just enter straight into the draft then. So that's
it's different, but
that's a whole year of again, just a year less of tread on the tires. But again, same thing kind of with Daijun Edwards. Not a lot of tread on the tires, and Georgia is a running back by committee.
Yeah, I mean, the COVID thing is whatever, but what I mean, a lot of tread on the tires, less than 200 carries for any running back that's coming out in the draft. That's a lot of tread on the tires. He's not getting hit a lot. That's literally what I mean. And then you're playing at Georgia and getting hit hard every freaking game, and sub 200 carries, 5.4 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns. When I look at that stat line, it's like I'm about to break a big play at any given time, and if you give it to me in the red zone, I'm gonna take it in as well. And he was an absolute dog in practice.
Yeah,
he damn near was the best running back there. When you look at him per carry, like Marshawn Lloyd was awesome, and all of us were infatuated at how good that he was running. But then the American team came out and Daijun Edwards stepped on the field, and it was like, well, hold up. But he is like trying to slide a razor blade between two pieces of paper, bro. Like, he is an absolute animal.
Yeah.
So that's my player to look out for.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say that though about Marshawn Lloyd. Like Marshawn Lloyd is like kind of like the Swiss Army knife type player. Even though Daijun can catch passes out the backfield, but like Daijun was running like a true running back. Like he was finding the holes and everything like that. Like it just felt different. Like Marshawn Lloyd was making people miss and stuff, catching passes. It just, I don't know. To me, it felt different in that type of way. Marshawn Lloyd was very impressive, and so was Daijun. It's just Daijun he's a smaller back, but it feels like he could be like you said, he got tread on the tires. Like he could be a legit back for a team though.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and I see Lindy's comment, which I disagree with. So let's address that. If he ever grows into a larger workload, his durability will be tested, of course. I disagree, and here's why.
Well, it's because of the size, though, right? That's what you're pointing to. You're talking about it's his size.
No, I'm thinking he's saying like if he got
why else would you say that?
Over 200 carries. But here's here's my thing. Daijun Edwards wasn't really
Yeah, but
hurt
why?
like that ever. And he had the same amount of carries pretty much last year as he had this year. What I mean by workload is if he can get over that 200 carries or what it looks like. Like, I don't think he would have struggled. I think that this dude would have been a 1,500-yard back with 20 carries. Like, I think he would have been top 5. But you got to think, in Georgia's situation, Kendall Milton was hurt until he came back towards the end of the season, and he was the guy. Like, Daijun Edwards was the guy. I don't have a question that he could be a number one guy because I've seen Daijun Edwards do the 20-yard carries a game. That's not what I mean by workload. I don't think that he's ever going to get hurt. I don't think he needs to be tested at all. I think he's a bona fide number one running back. I was just saying, in my humble opinion, what would Daijun look like on a team that utilized him as the number one guy throughout the whole season? We've seen him be the number one guy throughout games. Like, there's no question that the dude can run the ball. But what could he have looked like with 12 to 13 games in the season? I think he would have been up there with the best of the best. 1,500-yard back, 20-plus touchdowns in college, averaging almost the same amount of carries. That's what I mean. I think that it's great that he hasn't had to workload because he's going to have a lot of tread on the tires. Kendall Gainwell sat out a year. Daijun Edwards played the whole year. So that's – and then O-line quality also applies based on the team drafting him as well. I don't know if you've ever seen Daijun Edwards play. Let me tell you right now, it ain't going to matter what team he goes to and what their O-line is looking like. Daijun Edwards runs the ball like prime. He reminds me of prime time Dalvin Cook straight out of college. That's the feeling that I got. And I'm gonna just say that honestly, bro. Daijun Edwards
I was
don't.
just about to say.
Yep. What were you about to say?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off. But I was just going to say, what does he remind you of if you had an NFL comp? James Cook.
James and Dalvin, they run the same way.
Reminds you of James Cook.
But I think Daijun is even more physical than what Dalvin and James were. So you're literally, this is what I'm saying. Like, when you look back at this draft class, and if I'm right, it's going to be hilarious. Daijun Edwards could be the best running back in the next 5 years, even in the NFL. That's how highly I think about him. That's a general statement as it means lane creation, less tackles to break at the line of scrimmage. I don't think that stuff matters. Like, I'm going to tell you right now. What's the one question mark that the Bills have always had? I don't care what season that James Cook had. What's the one
Running
question
back.
they've always had is running back, right?
Running game.
Even that dude ran for over 1,000 yards. You would have put Daijun Edwards on that team last year, 1,300-yard bet, automatically. I can almost guarantee that because he's a beast. He's a beast, man. I think he's the diamond in the rough in this class as far as running backs are concerned. Whoever drafts him, wherever he gets drafted, mark my words, out of training camp, we might have a running back controversy with Daijun Edwards.